was actually done really well.
Awesome, yeah.
It did not seem shoehorned in at all.
Okay, so there was
I don't like
escalation.
that. I don't like that phrase.
What? Shoehorned in?
Shoehorned.
Well, have you ever used a shoehorn?
You know, in fact, I'll be right back.
All right, yeah.
All right, well, oh, that's good.
That's a good.
Just like mash them together or something. It doesn't
All right.
matter what you. Hey everyone, I'm John.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Jonathan.
And we're here to bring you a very special video. We're going to talk about our thoughts and just kind of discuss our experience at the 2014
We're gonna
Turkish
talk
film.
about our feelings.
Our
Our feelings.
about Turkey.
About our experience at the Turkish Film Festival this year. So, me and Jonathan saw both films
Right.
that were there. We didn't get to see all four that were
Yeah,
offered.
there were 4. We saw a comedy and a romance.
Yeah.
Me and Jonathan were able to see
Interesting.
both. We saw the romance movie with Alex and the comedy with Ethan.
That's me, because I'm all about the comedy.
So,
Yay.
K for comedy.
Yeah.
So for all of you guys, what were your expectations when we found out we were going to this? What did you think it was going to be like?
Lower dress code. We need to address this because when the screening was opening up, they let everybody inside, and we walked in, and
There was like a little cocktail party thing, basically.
right. And John's in like a t-shirt and basketball shorts.
I looked like I was going to go buy tickets for a basketball game, and the guy only had tickets to the Turkish Film Festival, so I was like, screw it, I'll go to that thing.
Right. So we go in, and these girls are in cocktail dresses. You got the guys in
Yeah.
full suits,
Full suits.
Yeah.
and then there's just us.
I'm in like basketball shorts and the t-shirt, like, hey.
But I mean, for expectation-wise, I thought there's going to be a lot of culture. I was going to learn a lot about Turkey.
Yeah.
More about the culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought. I was gonna
Yeah,
see.
I was thinking that too, and I also kind of thought the movies would be, I don't know,
More about the culture.
yeah, more about the culture. I also kind of thought there would be low budget and probably not very good or not well translated.
Okay.
Just because
Right.
Turkey isn't a place that has a lot of foreign films. Maybe if it came
Yeah.
from
It doesn't have a huge
Japan
film industry
or
there.
just
Right.
yeah.
To all of our fans in Turkey, please correct us if we're wrong on anything.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Our Turkish fan. Jonathan, what about you? What were your thoughts going into it?
Well, I was excited for it. I thought that, hey, if they make it to the International Film Festival, that means that they have to be good.
Yeah.
At least there has to be some reason why they chose these 4 films to show overseas.
Yeah. One thing that I was expecting going into it that didn't really wind up happening was, Alex touched on this a little bit, I thought they would be a lot different from American films. I thought they would be a lot of weird cultural things that we might not get or understand or resonate with us.
Right.
But I actually was surprised. They wound up being surprisingly similar to a lot of American films,
Right,
I
mean,
think.
it was pretty much the same.
Yeah,
really.
I think the comedy was most like an American movie.
Yeah.
Well, probably made to
Right.
gear towards American audiences.
Yeah. You're
So let's just go ahead. Speaking of comedies, let's go ahead and enter the comedy first.
right.
Okay.
Get that out of the way.
Yeah, so the comedy we saw was called Oh Brother, which in Turkish I can't really translate.
It's about basically 3 brothers whose father is he's in the hospital and he needs a very expensive surgery. So they go steal some cars to pay for the surgery, and in the back of the cars they find
Very...
some drugs and bodies, and they get involved with this whole mafia thing.
Right.
Right.
And on paper that sounds like an okay idea, but
It was not a very good movie.
it
Yeah.
wasn't executed very well.
Right. I mean, I don't want to be insensitive because there's maybe a lot of jokes that didn't translate well from Turkish to English.
That's one thing I thought that.
You have to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right, but overall, I was really not impressed. I kept looking at my watch. I'm like, when is this going to be over?
Speaking of that, if you go to the movies with me, you'll know I'll never check the time. And this was the one time I had to take out my phone, like, oh man, what time is it? Because I don't want to be here anymore.
Right. Well, what I will say about the overall experience, I thought that it was the event was handled very well.
Yeah.
I mean, they had.
Oh yeah, the event
I would
was
agree,
good. Yeah.
definitely.
If everything was very professional, the theater was big enough, it wasn't crowded, and we didn't have like a full house, but we
Yeah.
did have a good amount of people in there.
And
so-
the audience was polite, always. There were no people
Right.
texting or whatever.
Yeah, there were some phones out, but
Yeah, and there was that one
Yeah.
guy who jumped the bar in front of us to go to the bathroom. Like, we had this railing that was in front of us, and this guy just looked
Because
on either side.
it wasn't
couldn't make it.
like a movie theater.
It
It was
was-
more of a
It was a place
theater
where plays
theater.
are, but
Yeah.
Right.
they had
With just a
screens.
screen there.
theater, R.E.
I didn't like the comedy very much, but I thought that that's one of the things where, because with the romance movie, as long as you know what they're saying, you basically get it.
Yeah.
But with the comedy, like when you think of all your favorite comedy movies, a lot of it hinges on the delivery or on like certain sayings, and those are the kind of things that wouldn't translate well.
I was gonna say like, love is the universal thing.
Right, there are certain
Yeah.
themes in romance movies which will always be there.
Yeah,
But in
no
comedy,
matter
like-
what culture you have.
But in comedy, there are some things you have to know prior to
Now,
it.
I really want to give props to the guy who either played like he had Tourette's or actually does have Tourette's.
Right, the
In
character.
Oh Brother, we couldn't really decide because he was a great character, but
They didn't do enough with him, and was I thought my biggest problem with Oh Brother, that they should have done more. They had a few things that you see like a seed of. Ah, by the way, Alex isn't talking because he didn't see it. Seeds
Yeah, I didn't
of
see,
like
this is all new to me.
of like potential.
This
like,
is all new
and
to me.
every once in a while you'll see it like, oh, that could have been really good, but they don't go anywhere
It
with
doesn't
it.
develop into anything funnier than it is. And the problem that I personally had was it just reminded me too much of the film The Hangover, which if you've seen, you can kind of get an idea of what it was.
Right.
To elaborate on that, it was basically The Hangover, I'll say the first one, without the hangover part.
And without the English or the funny.
yeah,
Or
it
the
wasn't
funny.
But there was the idea of the they have a situation and the situation just evolves into something crazier and crazier.
It was very crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty
Crazy
crazy.
is a good word to describe
Crazy,
it. But not in the good way.
No,
Right,
it's,
well,
a bad,
I thought-
it's a bad crazy.
I thought the biggest issue with this movie
So it was chaotic.
that,
Yeah.
the plot was chaotic, meaning that there were just a whole bunch of different things. Like they were going on improv. Like, okay, we gotta do this next. Let's run over here.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Over here. Do this. Let's fill the runtime up. Let's go do this.
Yeah.
Let's go
How,
do
how
this.
long?
Yeah,
How long was
definitely.
this movie?
That felt long. It was only like an hour and a half.
It was about
Yeah.
average comedy time,
All right,
I
sure.
would think.
It did
Sure.
feel a lot longer though.
Just because of how bad.
Yeah.
And what pissed me off was the fact that for the first 15 minutes, I thought it was going to go somewhere good.
Right,
Because it
yeah.
had a really creative intro using somewhat bullet time
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I noticed when you learn what happens in the intro, I don't know, for me it kind of like ruined the effect of it because you
Yeah.
already know that that's gonna happen.
And it's like 2 days, like
But I
3
feel like-
days before.
But I feel like then when you whatever.
Sure.
It works for something.
Doesn't
but not
matter.
for this movie.
No.
That actually worked for the romance movie. In the beginning, you could see
Hey, good
what
segue.
was
Right.
going to happen,
Good segue.
and in the romance, like you could tell he was going to be on the floor or whatever. Later on, you're like, wait, what's going to happen? Is he going to die? Is he going to just be knocked out? Is this him? Who is this? Eventually, as the movie progresses, you find out. But I feel the romance movie executed it very well.
Yeah.
Apparently, this comedy didn't do the same
Right.
thing.
Now, as segue into the romance movie was actually very, very good.
It was very good. I would say borderline
Definitely.
great because all the issues this movie had could be fixed in the editing room.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's actually a little unfortunate to hear that they didn't just take the time to edit that
Yeah.
whatever out.
The
Well-
thing is, though, there's easy improvement that can be made, and
Definitely.
like the guy said, he got on stage before the movie that I saw.
The
at
person
least,
who had put it together, the director, we can assume.
the host of the Turkish festival, and he said he was very humble about it. Said, "Tell me what you think, and tell me where there is room for improvement." And I think that would be some room for improvement. All the cinematography was beautiful.
The high point. I loved the cinematography in both movies, actually.
Wow. Okay.
Well-
The-
The
I-
comedy was more like I feel like it had a gritty filter on it the entire time.
yeah.
But I thought that Sari Sen, Only You, the romance movie,
That was the title of the romance movie,
Yeah.
Only You.
it just all the
just
shots
just say the English version.
Yeah, yeah. Don't confuse
Sorry,
the
we don't
people.
wanna
Sorry, I
butcher-
mispronounced
We don't
that.
want to butcher,
Yeah.
completely butcher.
For our Turkish
Completely
fan, we're
butchered.
sorry.
But I thought that everything was excellently framed. Just that looked like professional.
I really like this.
Yeah.
I adored the cinematography.
Adore.
And
That's
Only You.
Hey, good word.
That's it.
I loved it.
And the only gripe I have with the romance movie, like we said, the editing can be, it can all be fixed in the editing room, and that is the music.
Soundtrack was very in your face.
A little bit of ambient
choppy.
music is nice, and it's good throughout the movie, and it's not like the ambient music was bad. The only thing is, it was the same exact ambient music segment throughout the entire movie. And you could tell when it came on and when it came off. It wasn't subtle whatsoever. It was completely abrupt.
And it felt pretty
Right.
cheesy.
Cheesy, yeah. And there was one point I think in the movie that just really caught me off guard, and I noticed it. It was so bad. I actually started laughing. The music was going on. It was in a very nice scene. It was the same music, nice music, but it was going along at a pretty loud volume. Suddenly, it just stopped.
Like,
It
no,
was
it's
like,
like
"Na, na, na."
They
And
just walked.
as it changed scenes, and there was no nothing,
Transitional music.
no transitional music. There was no background noises, no water bubbling, nothing.
just kind of
Just from loud music to stop.
Oh wow. That's
Now,
Yeah.
but before we go any further with this, I just want to describe the plot of the romance movie was that.
People want that.
Yeah, just to give a basic idea. A blind woman meets this
Oh.
man with
He's a boxer.
who's an ex-boxer, and he has this troubled past. We
He's-
learn more about.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that sounds wonderful.
And they meet each other and fall in love and have the whole thing going on.
Right.
But I liked it a lot. I
I
thought
thought
the
it was very charming.
I thought very charming. I thought the performances were really good.
Definitely.
I
The
like
blind
that.
chick, I need to give props to her. I was, throughout the beginning of the movie, towards the end, I was like,
Well, she got her sight.
is she actually...
No one's
Spoilers,
gonna
man.
watch it. Well, you
is-
should.
You
It was
should
pretty
watch
good.
it. Towards the end of the movie, I was actually thinking, is this actress actually blind?
Right.
And, spoiler alert, at some point she gets her sight back,
We know that.
which
Okay.
is not super unpredictable, but that's not the plot twist. That's a plot
That's not
twist.
one of the
That
nine
is
plot
a-
twists.
There
That's
is a
not-
crazy plot twist in this movie.
There is I need to give props to that plot twist in
Is-
the writing. It was
Is
amazing.
it a no good deed plot twist or is it an
No,
actual
it's like
No,
a-
this is
it's like
like
a-
a what?
It's like a sincerely
This
good
isn't-
plot.
This
twist.
is like an Empire Strikes Back kind of.
Yeah.
So it is. That was a
Well, let's not
simple.
get
That was a
crazy,
spoiler,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a bad spoiler, and it won't ruin the
Yeah.
movie.
Okay.
Anyways, so the fact that she was actually being a normal person at the end, I was just like, whoa,
Acting.
she's not blind. That was amazing acting.
What if she was
And
blind?
well, I mean, then she's a good actress
She is a
either
good
way.
actress.
Yeah, that's it.
One other thing I need to give kudos to, it was very realistic, I would say.
It definitely was.
There was no, like, she could tell where people were, she could walk around objects, she could get to and from areas, but there was no sixth, eighth sense, whatever. It was
Eighth
all
senses.
what actual blind
Yeah.
people do to
Right.
survive and cope with their blindness. And I thought that was very nice.
Yeah.
Very refreshing that they didn't mess that
She
up.
definitely wasn't Daredevil. She doesn't do any
No.
backflips.
That was
in
a
the movie.
great movie.
One thing I liked a lot about Only You was it mixed its elements of, romance, lovey stuff, and grit
Some action.
really well. Like, it had elements of action and, seedy, darker stuff, but also very happy romance things. And that, I think, speaks to the realism of it. It didn't overly romanticize anything or make anything overly dark.
It was
just
life.
It just showed their life.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't usually.
this guy is not the ideal love. Like, this is not the ideal man, and like so many other romance movies, that kind of
Yeah.
bugs me. When the woman is the ideal woman,
Yeah.
the man is the ideal.
And they all have,
man.
like, one flaw that, but they're still perfect.
Yeah, and it creates this unrealistic thing to strive for, and it wasn't like that. This guy and this girl, they both had their flaws, but the thing is, they were overall
They both had a troubled past.
great for each other. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did. I'm sorry, then I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay.
Awesome.
Alright, well, I do want to say that particular action scene that happened in the movie. I was so taken off guard by that. I was like, "What? This is going down?"
It was actually
It
done
was
really
awesome. Yeah.
So the action in the movie was very nice. It wasn't Born Identity. It wasn't groundbreaking action.
well. But it shouldn't have, it wasn't supposed to be that. I think it fit the movie as
yeah, it
well.
was very realistic and very nice, like impactful. It was
It was
like,
intense. You felt for the guy.
and very intense, very emotional. Great action.
You had grown with that character so much that it was like you felt for him. You wanted him to succeed. Every time a punch was
Right.
hit on him, you got nervous.
Okay.
So anyway, as a general consensus, what did you guys think of the film as a
Well,
whole?
I definitely thought that I had fun going to it. Had a good experience going with you guys. It was all
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with it as well.
I
For sure.
I had to get dressed to go to a bad movie. So
It won't be the last, Ethan.
it won't be my last bad movie I go to. It was fun overall, I guess. Whatever I don't care.
But yeah, it was. The movies were good. I almost wish we could have seen I do wish we could have seen the other two.
Yeah.
They probably would have been good.
Could have got more
Probably.
content, but you don't.
Considering the fact that one of the movies was borderline outstanding, and the other movie was
Not
mediocre,
very good at all.
Yeah.
mediocre, I kind of think we cannot rate it as a whole based on...
Well, I think it's when we talk about how we're rating it, it's less of how the movies were, more of how the experience of it was in general and how it met our expectations.
Yeah.
Sort of.
That's true.
So
As an experience for me personally, I kind of think it was very well
Very well
coordinated.
executed. Yeah.
I liked it.
yeah.
It was free too. We also have to say this was a free festival.
Which,
Yeah.
was nice.
which made it even more worth it.
So
Definitely.
we all had a lot of fun. I think we'll probably be coming back next year if we can.
Boy, will we.
Yep.
Maybe. I mean,
Maybe.
I-
Better shirts.
I don't want to speak for. I don't want. Okay. All right. For Stubmasters Reviews, Turkish Film Festival. I'm John.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jonathan.
Have an excellent day.
Oh, yeah, and by the way, this is what my shirt says, if any of you guys were wondering.
LOL.
Insert